Good afternoon. How are you today? Well, it feels just a tad chilly, but comfortable, and looks like it could pour rain here in Virginia on Friday. And I've gotten some work done, so I feel like I can reward myself by walking outside. We have kind of qualified good news. I think it goes like this. It's good that the House, with some Republicans, has voted to hold Bannon in contempt. That's good. It's also good that the Department of Justice is adding 2 prosecutors to the Gates investigation to see where that goes. So I think that's also very important. Now, having said that, let's roll this back a little bit. On the contempt, the criticism that I have is the criticism that what we're doing is we're not doing it the most efficient way possible. What we could do is we could have gone with inherent contempt power. And by all calculations, by lawyers, expert, not so expert, that would be faster. And what does that mean? Well, first of all, we have to pass the first test to see if Garland is going to actually go forward with the case. I assume he will. But the problem is that could take months. That would probably be the fast way. And it could take years, and that's obviously a lot slower. And who will be in charge of the Congress when a court finally acts about this? And will the court act the right way about it? Whereas, with the inherent power, you and I go into the basement of the Congress, and we take one of those offices down there, and we strengthen it to become a jail for the person we're going to hold in contempt. And maybe we anticipate having a couple of cells so that we can do more than one person. And we take pictures of it, and we let the world know that we're doing it. We make it impossible to ignore the fact that when we succeed, if we succeed, you're going to sit in one of these jail cells until you figure out how to conform with our request, that you appear and testify, that you conform with our request to produce the documents. Now, I'm a firm believer in private and criminal defense practice, that I don't like to give over the handling of a case to a government agency, not because they can't do it, but because then I have no control over the agenda or the tactics or the strategy. So if a client says to me, I want to go complain to the Bar Association about this lawyer, my question is, why? I want to give it to somebody that may protect someone else without any control of it. Maybe they'll say what you said is frivolous, and then you'll encourage this person to be a bad lawyer. But if they breached a contract, let's sue them for that. And if they breached a contract, what are the damages? And the damages should be more than it costs to pay me to represent you. And if that's not the case, then you should move on and get even by having a good life. Okay, so in this context, how does that apply? It means get the cell, create it yourself, get the manpower, sit down, do the homework, write the legal documents, and then go after all of these other people. You know, it's not nuclear science. It's pretty obvious. And if you're not going to do that, you're not serious. And that makes you wonder, there's so much lost time built into the process, the way they're doing it. Okay, several days on the Hill, then it goes to the Justice Department. They probably summon a grand jury. They could do that lickety-split, but will they take days, a week, weeks? Will they brood over what it should include? He didn't show up. He didn't present documents. What is the question? He doesn't have a privilege. This is not complicated stuff. I think a 1L, that is a first-year law student, could figure it out. Now, another good thing that's happening, if you believe as I do in civil rights and civil liberties, is that a judge says another inmate at Guantanamo should be released. Why is that still open? Think about it. Obama was going to get rid of it because it's a stain on our notions of freedom and fair practices and recognition of individual rights and liberties. And here we have the equivalent of rendition on an island offshore that we frequently attack for misleading its public. So there's that. Now, Manchin, why not talk about some of our evil inhabitants within the Democratic Party? He threatens to push spending on the bill to zero because he gets in a fit of pique against Sanders. I think children in your own home are more constructive than these guys. Oh yeah, and the latest thing is that the CDC says it's really a good idea to wear a mask. For those who didn't get the memo a year and a half ago, that's the latest. So, what's the story? I had all of this, I guess, and just before I came out today, I had a conversation with the principal of my high school, Fordham Prep, a Jesuit institution. And he had written an essay I came across. I've never talked to him before, by the way. He'd written an essay I came across talking about critical race theory. And he basically said that institutions can be racist and that it is a Christian mandate to root out social injustice. And so if you have an institution, including Fordham Prep, and if you do not and are not acknowledging the diversity, then you're not really liberal. You're not diverse, certainly. Now, my high school, when I was a puppy student, it was all of us white guys, Italians and Irish, and now it's diverse. They're persons of color. I don't know if there are women students. It was a boys' school, but there are women in positions of authority. That was not the case when I was there. So they're eating their own ideology, and they're pushing back against those discriminating Christians who really don't care what the Sermon on the Mount says, don't care about racism. So I found that a lot of fun. I mean, that may not be the right word, but something that gives you joy, even in work. Isn't that fun? And I told him that I thought his essay was so good that I wanted to steal it. I said, but it would be wrong. And he asked, what did I think of the Jesuits? I said, oh, that's simple. The Jesuits train you how to use your mind, and then they're terrified when you do. And he thought that was funny. And he knew what my contributions were, because when I called him, I couldn't get him right away. Anyhow, it's a pleasant Friday, and this weekend, John and I will be doing our podcast on Sunday. I'm sure we'll be talking about the kind of prosecution they're running up on the Hill, and some other subject. So good talking to you. Have a good weekend. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.